I think we should have a quiz first. You do mine and I'll do yours.
Okay. Here, try that one first. What's that?
That's not the easiest one. That's your gala.
Nope. That's a Dayton. Here's an easy one for you.
Honeycrisp. But ugly.
But ugly. I'm going to try and get some of the sooty blotch off this, so you can actually see the color of it. This one obviously isn't ripe yet. It's still kind of green. How about that?
Grimes Golden?
I don't have a Grimes Golden.
Oh, Smoothie?
That's Shizuka.
Shizuka. Oh, Macoun.
Macoun. Look how short the stem is on those.
2 out of 4 is not bad.
Nope, that's not too bad.
All right. You want to write those down? You probably don't need to.
It's not on my floor. This is your Sweet 16.
Pretty good.
And that's a nice size apple. I learned it was a Sweet 16 the other day when Dale gave it to me, because it's about the only 2 apples that we have that have a hammered texture, kind of rough surface that isn't russeted. So that's a Sweet 16. That's a striped, kind of looks like a Honeycrisp quite a bit. A little bit purplish, more red, and some russeting. But Sweet 16, that looks like a Macoun, or is this, no? Is this one of your John or somethings? What is that, a Macoun?
I picked it today.
It's got a longer stem than my Macoun.
Yeah, it's because it's not a Macoun.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Empire.
Empire. Okay. What is that? That's a
good luck.
Looks like a Dayton, but it's no. It doesn't quite have the. I don't know what that is. Something I don't have.
King David.
This is a King David?
I think so, unless I'm getting them mixed up.
What's that one? That's got sooty blotch on it.
Mm-hmm.
Where's your Ida Red?
I don't have all my apples here.
No.
I have a sampling of ones I picked today.
Looks a lot like that one. I don't know. Is this one of your John or somethings?
Nope.
This is one of those in the new patch.
Nope.
By the road.
That's a Fameuse.
This is a snow apple?
Yeah.
Okay. All these yellow things. Ew. That's a warty apple. Got warts all over it. Fly speck and sooty blotch.
They didn't appear ripe yet, so I picked the one that looked ripest.
This is pinkish. Is this I'm hoping this is Shizuka.
I'm hoping that too.
Is this from the grafted tree with 3 limbs?
This is the no.
No. From the Frankenbush?
From the Frankenbush.
Okay, yeah, that has to be Shizuka.
It's an unknown.
That's Shizuka. More blush than mine had. Grimes Golden? No?
You're doing bad.
I know. Well, they all look the same to me. Maybe this is one of your Smoothie or Golden Delicious. It doesn't have a long stem like a Golden Delicious. What is that?
That's the Shizuka.
That's a Shizuka?
Yeah.
And this is maybe an unknown Shizuka. So those are Shizukas. Okay, what's this little one?
Close.
Little red apples. Dale's mysterious little red apples. Okay. Okay, so what's that one? That's Shizuka too?
Pixie Crunch.
Pixie Crunch, which I don't have. Oh, is that the grind you to open?
No.
Another Shizuka?
No.
Puts 3 yellow apples in his basket.
There's a lot more than that.
Smoothie, what do you got? A smoothie, Gold Delicious over there? They're basically the same thing.
That's a smoothie.
This doesn't have a stem on it. You pulled it out so I couldn't tell it was Golden Delicious variety.
That's how it's picked. So it's probably not ripe yet either. Maybe I can pick a ripe.
Getting yellow. Well, let's start with which is the Pixie Crunch. How can you tell that one from this one?
It had a leaf on it.
Oh, it had a leaf on it. Okay. Well, I've never tasted a Pixie Crunch before. Have you? This is the first year?
I think this is the first time.
Okay. So we don't really know when it gets ripe either.
Right. Oh, that's good.
It's not a different flavor.
Now,
What is that?
give me some more.
Like a banana or something. Pixie Crunch.
It's crunchy.
Mm-hmm. And small. Vanilla? Kind of a vanilla-y flavor. Banana? Vanilla? That's
Strawberry, banana.
strawberry. Strawberries usually kind of thick. It's a firm apple and fine flesh on it. Yeah.
Wow.
It's firm. The skin is pretty thin. You eat all the apple, you're never going to get through all these. Okay. That's a good apple though.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it's juicy, but not real juicy. It's got such a fine flesh it pretty well holds its moisture. Pixie Crunch. Make a good cider.
Oh,
Yeah,
a
it's got
lunchbox apple.
Okay, what's next? What's this one?
Sundance.
Sundance.
Probably not ripe.
Sundance. Okay.
It's ripening faster than the other ones because it's damaged.
It looks almost like a pale apple.
Yeah, it's not ripe yet.
It's almost October.
Might be a warm weather apple. It's not ready yet.
You know, kind of firm. Even dry.
It needs time.
Boy, that must be a late apple.
Mm-hmm. Almost
Okay.
just bitter.
Just bitter.
Give it another couple weeks, huh?
It almost has a petroleum kind of taste to it right now.
Yeah.
Might be the skin.
Tastes like petroleum.
That's not real pleasant right now. Okay, I got to get that out of my mouth now. Let's do a Macoun. Now Macauns turn almost a red purple. They have a short stem. They're I call it a gourmet apple. It's got a complex flavor.
Very white flesh.
White flesh, yes.
Wow.
That's melting. It breaks right up. It's got some Cortland genes in it. So it's sort of a softer when it's ripe. The stems are so short, and there's so many apples on the tree, they'll actually push themselves right off the limb. Kind of like a Cortland Wilson. That's a good apple.
Definitely not as bitter.
Really good. The flesh kind of reminds me of a Macintosh. So it's, you know, a little bit soft. It's not really crisp, but it doesn't really taste like a Mac. I'll revisit that one.
I think that's the Empire.
Empire. The kids' lunchbox apple. A lot of people like these. Do you remember anything about its genes?
Nope.
Another white fleshed apple. Looks like pretty fine grain. I think they're related to Macintosh.
Got tough skin. I don't think it's quite ripe yet.
The skin's a little chewy, but boy, there was a flavor there. But I haven't had it. Empire that I know of. Try to describe that flavor.
I think this would be better in another week.
You think? This is juicy. It's not what you call really sweet, because it's got some tang to it.
A good pie.
You know, good eating apple. I think I like them a little sweeter, but it is a sweet apple. What's that one? That's notice that stem. I don't know if you can see that stem. It's very fleshy. That's the king bloom stem.
Short and thick.
Short and they're thick. Yeah, sometimes they're almost oblong. Okay, what's this one, Dale?
I believe it's King David.
Ooh, King David. Now, wasn't King David supposed to be a cider apple?
I think so. Or pie.
This might not be a good tasting apple then. I don't know. Do they call it a King David because sometimes he's good and sometimes he's bad?
I would not want this in my lunchbox.
No?
But I think it'd make a great pie or cider.
I think it tastes like a store-bought apple. Kind of, you know, it's a apple.
Not very memorable. Better than a Red Delicious.
Oh yeah. It's
I don't want any more.
It's got a little tang to it.
Yep.
But it's like, to try to describe it, it's like, well, it's kind of like, tastes like an apple.
This one should be about the same. I believe it's a Fameuse or snow apple.
Snow apple.
So it's cider or pie. And also probably not ripe.
Snow apples are good. They're white flesh, and I think sometimes, is this a windfall? It's got a bruise on it.
Yes.
Okay.
I did pick it off the ground.
Snow apples are also, they're really white flesh. They make good cider, not a cider, they make a good applesauce.
Yeah, that's right.
It kind of has some Macintosh. It's got the soft flesh like a Macintosh. Mom used to buy these things for, what's that bruise on the bottom? Our mom used to buy snow apples for applesauce because they were sweet enough that you didn't have to add sugar. So, there's a bruise on that side too. It's a good apple though. That's the kind of apple you don't have to chew and chew and chew. It kind of falls apart on you. So snow apples are pleasant to eat. They don't have that. It's a thin skin. It breaks really good. You don't have to sit there and think it's going to get stuck in your teeth. This is your Sweet 16.
It is.
Yes. Now, first time I tried a Sweet 16, bit into it. That was about 3 or 4 years ago. Bit into it, had this strong cherry Twizzler aroma. First bite. Second bite, Jack walked up after he had just killed a skunk, and all I could smell then was skunk, and it kind of ruined the apple, the rest of the apple for me. Now, whenever I think of skunks, I think of of Sweet 16s, and whenever I think of Sweet 16s, I think of skunks. That memory is there now. So, but this is, it looks a lot like a Honeycrisp. It's got some rusting, although a lot of the apples have some rusting this year because we had a frost early in the spring. Even apples that don't normally have it. But it's kind of a lopsided apple. It's not really round. It doesn't really have a ribbed bottom, but it's kind of a three-sided apple. Now, how's the best way to get that cherry taste? We've never cut a piece off.
Haven't.
We think that the cherry taste might come from underneath the skin. So if you peel your apples, you might miss it. It's got a yellowish flesh.
Oh, baby. You're not missing it there. Cherry Twizzler.
Yeah,
put this in my lunchbox.
And about the third bite, you go, you know, it changes flavor a little bit. That's what you call a complex flavor. It's got some, I believe, yeah, I could taste the cherry right at the end there. Kind of a cherry vanilla.
But it's not from the inside. It's got to be the skin.
Well, let's try it. It's in the skin. I think so. Now, our grandfathers used to always eat their apples with a knife. Probably because most of their apples were never sprayed, so they were just taking all the scab off the outside. I did this on a Macoun yesterday, and it made it so easy to eat.
One of them had false teeth.
There. Now try that. That doesn't have skin. You taste the cherry, so it's in the skin.
Tastes vanilla.
Okay. So the cherry's in the skin, and the vanilla's in the
apple.
In the apple. So anyway, as I was saying, I skinned a Macoun yesterday. I'll try that. And the flesh was so easy to chew without the skin on that I ate it so fast it like stuck in my throat because I didn't chew it up. I was just like, wow, this is great. It's a juicy apple, but it's fine textured, and it holds the juice in the flesh until you chew it up.
After we finish with our apple tasting video, I'll take the rest of this one home.
Okay. Should have ended with that one. What's this one?
Smoothie.
Smoothie is a sport of Golden Delicious. So it basically it's going to taste. Let me get on the blush side. Should taste about just like Golden Delicious. It's not supposed to russet.
Right. It's not as susceptible to diseases.
But we do have some rusting on it this year. Again, you know, that's that yellow brownish on the stem end because we had that frost. Some people don't like rusting; they think it looks odd, so they don't want to buy it. But
that's a good taste and juicy apple. It's going to be better in a week, or if we get a frost.
It's a mild apple. It gets milder the riper it gets. So, if you like just a sweet apple with no flavor to it, that's what you get with Golden Delicious or a smoothie. That's okay. I could eat one of these every day. And it's still a little bit tough, not quite ripe.
Let me see the seeds in that.
A smoothie or Golden Delicious should be yellow when you pick it.
It's close.
They're brown. They probably should be black. I don't know if I got that in there. So yeah, it needs to ripen up a bit more. But it's a crisp apple. It's breaking. Everybody's had Golden Delicious before. So that one's green yet. Which one? Are all these?
It's riper than this
Are
one.
all these? This one had a lot of red on it. This is going to be the ripest one, I bet.
But it may not be the same as this.
You think that this is from the Frankenbush? So we didn't have anything else to put on the Frankenbush except Shizuka. Ooh, that's juicy.
Maybe it's an earlier ripening Shizuka.
Well, it got in a lot of sun.
Maybe a better root
It's got some water coring going on here. When you see that,
We
look
haven't
like
had any rain in a month.
almost like water pockets. That's water coring. Happens a lot of times with large apples. That's a Shizuka.
Early ripening Shizuka.
The water core isn't always that pleasant when you get the water in it. It has to be Shizuka. I've never seen it get that red before, but it was in a lot of sun, I guess.
Good sport.
It doesn't taste as good as the Shizuka though. Usually Shizuka is just powerfully sweet. Almost a spitter. I'm not kind of disappointed. This one's a green Shizuka. No?
Right beside.
Right beside. Right there in the yellow. No water coring in this one. That's better. That's more like a Shizuka. Yeah.
That one may not be Shizuka.
What else could it be? We didn't have any the yellow apples back then. You know, Golden Delicious or Shizuka, but I would say
Jonagold?
No. Jonagold has got more of a tartness to it. And it gets a lot redder than that. It's not a yellow skin. My Jonagolds aren't ripe yet.
That was not
There's a
ripe yet either.
Shizuka. Shizukas are, how do you describe that flavor? It's really sweet. I took Honeycrisp, Shizuka, Golden Delicious, all real sweet apples, fairly and mild, and I cut them thin with an apple peeler or quarter slicer, and then I dehydrated them, and I took them into work, and had everybody taste them, and everybody wanted they said the Shizuka dehydrated the best because it was the sweetest of them. So for dehydrated apples, you want a sweet apple. The tanginess comes out a little strong when you dehydrate them. Honeycrisp. If you don't know what a Honeycrisp tastes like, you're missing something.
You mean a tree ripened Honeycrisp?
This is a tree ripened Honeycrisp. Yes, it's not as large as some of them, and it's not as red as some of my Honeycrisp, but that's more red than you typically get in the store. On a Honeycrisp in the store, you usually get one or two sides kind of half red. For a Honeycrisp, you want the largest Honeycrisp you can find. They're better the larger they are. And they should have a hammered texture to them. When they sell them to you in those bags of, multiple Honeycrisp and small ones in a bag, they're not as sweet and they're a lot more bland too.
Good apple.
This was on the tree that was overproducing just apples upon apples on that tree. And I was afraid that they'd all be underripe when I finally picked them. But in the last 2 weeks,
Good thing we got a lot of rain this year.
yeah, in the last 2 weeks they really came forward and they got a little bigger. I was afraid the whole tree would just be deer apples. I like Honeycrisp. I know they're not a very complex flavor, but I like the crunch. I like the crispness, the sweetness. Dayton. Oh, I learned something new about Dayton this year. It's typically a two picking a season apple. They're a good apple. They don't store long. End of the month, the ones that are left on the tree to get riper, they turn mealy. So it's got some drawbacks. The taste, though, in refrigeration, I took. Look how juicy that is. It's a very juicy apple. I took some of the Daytons and I put them in the root cellar, and then one whole box of them I put them in the refrigerator downstairs. And the ones in the refrigerator still going strong. They do soften. They do soften a little bit in storage. The ones in the root cellar, I'm afraid they may be going a little mealy. They're getting soft
I
too
don't
fast.
like the skin on that one.
It's got a little bitterness to it, doesn't it? The skin's getting soft.
Definitely better. Better rate when it's picked.
Yeah, definitely. They get soft fast. So we gotta remember to get these things in the cider as soon as we can. They get to be a soft apple now, like a very ripe Mac. And that one looks like it's bruised. So not as good. I mean, fresh picked apple, they're good. If you want to store them, you got to pick them maybe a little bit on the green side. Yeah, they're not as good as they were a couple weeks ago. They soften up like that. I think that one's just another Shizuka, and it's green, so it's not going to be very good. So Dale, name your top 5 tasting apples. Favorite 5. Now remember, we're in mid-Michigan, so northeast apples are going to be best for us. You want to plant what's good in your region.
I'm looking at the Honeycrisp, the Sweet 16, and the Shizuka on the table.
Okay.
The Pixie Crunch.
Pixie
was
Crunch
right up
pretty
there.
good.
And I like a smoothie. I do like
When they're-
smoothie,
when
but
they're
they're
ripe.
not quite ready.
Yeah, they gotta be right. My top 5 apples: Macoun. Really like the flavor of Macoun.
Macoun was good.
Sweet 16, just because of its unique cherry taste. Honeycrisp, crisp and juicy. Young, small Honeycrisp are not that great though. Let's see, Shizuka. And I really like a Dayton, but you got to get them when they're fresh off the tree. Yeah, I like Golden Delicious too. Any of those sports. We'll have to get some more. Here's your Sweet 16.
Heaven. I'm in heaven. That was really good.
How many of those do you have growing now?
2.
2. I think I bought 2 this year and planted them. I have one out in a cabin orchard. It's on about 3rd leaf. We need more of them.
You can't eat that many.
No, you can't. I like to have 2 of every kind of tree that I like, though, and I don't want to lose. I like to have 2 trees. That way, if something takes out one that dies, well, the only reason we have Fortune is because we grafted to the Franken tree. Because my Fortune tree died. You know, Honeycrisp has more of a flavor than sometimes people give it credit for. Because that flavor is in the juice. When you got a juicy apple, I lot of times the unpleasant part of the apple is the peeling. It can be less than pleasant. But a Honeycrisp skin doesn't have any bitterness to it. A Red Delicious has a tough skin, and there's that bitterness under the skin. If the apple wasn't so sweet, I don't think anybody would ever eat a Red Delicious. We took all our Red Delicious apples and grafted them over. Maybe we have 5 or 7 of them, something like that. It was a good move.